Okay. Let's see if we get lucky with those notifications. I'm not surprised they didn't go out. I know that it was just...
Play Peter Guitar Jam.
Hey, Cyber Moo.
Moo.
It was just
Yeah,
one...
they went out.
Oh,
in my
great.
release.
Oh, cool, man. That's great. That's great news. Is that a vacuum cleaner? Oh, you must be starting up an F-18.
Yep.
Okay, Peace Dog. Okay, let's move that over. Disconnected, reconnected. That was weird. Okay.
Patrick John Welder.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Nay.
How's it going?
I'm sure Tom Brady wants his $30 million back, LOL.
Right? I bet you, Larry, David does too, man. There's a few of them. It's unbelievable how all those people got punked by that company. They all did, bro.
Kevin Vaught. Hashtag NLRC. Cheers, Nay. Hashtag Oxbeerject.
Oxbeerject. Oxbeerject, baby. We like that Oxbeerject. Let's do this and this.
Flight confirmed.
Here.
Flight confirmed. Roll left, roll left.
He's on the ground. What do you mean roll left? God, you're an idiot. Fire that bitch.
It's a startup.
Oh, it's doing the startup. It's like, yeah, checking out all the little commands.
Yep.
Oh, you want me to roll up a doobie before I fly this F-18? Okay, I gotcha. You got any roll left? Got any rolling papers left? I got some. Right here. Right here in this ashtray in this F-18. Hey, where's the ashtray at? Look at that view. What a beautiful view. Now we got that all set up, baby. Look at that. Oh. We got Cybers getting ready to fly an F-18. And we
Trendy
are
Nick.
going to be covering
Good evening, brother.
a little bit of
Kevin Vaught.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Hashtag Oxproject.
We've got a little bit of Tiffany on tap. Tiff on tap, I like to say.
I think it's really nice when people say
Um,
and I haven't done an SBF or
how do we go full screen? Here we go. All right. Here is Tiffany, and she is a pit bull when it comes to crypto scams, and she's looking out for all of us. So she's gonna tell you guys about Sam Bankman-Fried and his new little frickin' thing he's got going on.
an FTX update in a minute, but there have been some pretty big recent developments, as well as some potentially very bad news for FTX depositors. So let's just jump right in, because recently, Sam Bankman-Fried released his very first detailed defense ever since FTX's collapse. In his pretrial motions, Sam Bankman-Fried requests that a New York federal judge completely dismiss 10 out of the 13 criminal charges against him. He basically argues that several of the charges are legally flawed, and his lawyers wrote that rather than wait for traditional civil and regulatory processes following their ordinary course to address the situation, the government jumped in with both feet, improperly seeking to turn these civil and regulatory issues into federal crimes. Notably, the 3 charges he is not contesting out of the 13 criminal charges are conspiracy to commit commodities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. However, also note that this does...
And let's just stop for 1 second and just say, the conspiracy was proven. Okay, there were 3 other people that have already proven guilty of those charges. He, of course, was their boss. For him to claim that he, for some reason, wasn't involved in his own company's conspiracy is freaking hilarious. And the 3 other people that already took the hit for him, I bet they're all freaking out right now over what he's claiming, now that they've all gone ahead of him and suggested, yeah, we were breaking the law. And now he's like, yeah, I have no idea what they were talking about. They're all just fools. They all just pled out, whatever. What?
Does not mean that he's pleading guilty to those charges. In fact, he's pled not guilty to all 13 charges. He's just contesting 10 of them. As a reminder, Caroline Ellison, Gary Wang, and Nishad Singh, 3 members of his inside circle, have all pled guilty to multiple criminal charges. So Sam is staying strong, pleading not guilty. And I will say that from my personal conversations with Sam, I would be very surprised if he did plead guilty at any point, or if he did take a plea deal. That's just what I've gathered from the conversations, and obviously I'm not speaking.
It only took two.
Also,
two
for a
clicks.
little bit of color on
Two
some of
clicks.
Sam's arguments and some of the legal flaws he's pointing out, Sam has told me in conversation that when he initially agreed to extradition from the Bahamas to the United States, he was under the impression that he could not be charged with additional offenses after he had agreed to extradition. So, in case you don't remember, Sam initially faced 8 charges from the Department of Justice prior to his extradition to the United States. I mean, that's already quite a lot of criminal charges. But since then, he was hit with a superseding indictment which added 4 criminal charges to his tally of criminal charges.
His tally.
And then more recently, he was hit with a 13th criminal charge for apparently bribing Chinese government officials.
Wow.
So basically, he's disputing all of the criminal charges that were brought after he'd agreed to
Bribing
extradition.
Chinese government
And he's
officials.
also disputing the remaining charges, stating that
There's
FTX
actually a law
Legal
against
Counsel,
that.
Sullivan and Cromwell have become de facto agents of the federal prosecution building a criminal case against him.
Let's do
And could potentially be
17.
withholding critical evidence that could
17-10.
potentially help his defense. Sam's defense lawyers also argued that several of the remaining charges should be dismissed for being too vague or failing to state an adequate defense and having other legal flaws, basically stating that the prosecutors have displayed an eagerness to run up charges against Mr. Bankman-Fried. So to wrap that portion up, Sam is basically attempting to get 10 out of the 13 criminal charges against him completely dismissed. But honestly, shoot your shot, Sam, and let's see how this goes. Apparently,
Shoot your
the court
shot,
has until, I
Sam.
think it was May 29th to respond. So now moving on to the very bad news for FTX depositors, because
Here it
it
is.
now looks like FTX depositors might end up getting absolutely nothing for recovery. And this is largely thanks to the IRS. The IRS has filed 45 claims totaling $44 billion.
All right, no longer
against
regarding cannabis.
FTX
Cheers,
and
Cyber.
its
Cheers,
affiliated
Kevin
entities.
and
so
Nick.
apparently this includes a pair of
And
claims,
everybody else
one
that's
for
watching.
$20.7
Thanks, guys.
billion and another for
Cheers, bro.
$7.9
Cheers,
billion
everybody.
against Alameda Research that are specifically related to unpaid partnership taxes. This could be a huge problem for FTX depositors because the IRS has labeled these claims as administrative priorities, which apparently allows the IRS's claims to supersede those of unsecured creditors. So just to put this into
Edwin
perspective,
Sparks.
the IRS is claiming
Cheers.
about $44 billion from FTX and its related entities, and as of April, or last month, FTX has only recovered about $7.3 billion in assets, and at the time, their liabilities outweighed their assets by an estimated $8.7 billion. Obviously, FTX has not recovered anywhere near $44 billion and certainly does not have $44 billion to spare. So if this actually happens and the IRS's claims are actually able to supersede that of unsecured creditors, or in other words, FTX depositors, then it looks like depositors might end up getting literally nothing back in recovery. Obviously, I think and hope that FTX Chapter 11 team will probably fight the IRS on this, and it also seems like an obscenely high number that the IRS is claiming. But I guess we'll see what happens in court. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But this looks like it could potentially be very bad. Sorry for this really bad news today for FTX depositors. Sorry to leave it on this note, but that's my update. And also, I want to give a quick shout out.
Terrible. So, bad enough for the people of Celsius, man, but for people in FTX to hear that, I have a feeling that tonight, when this news starts getting out, there's going to be a massive uproar on the internet. You're going to see it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube videos, podcasters, anybody involved with FTX that's got money sitting in there. Bro, I would be so livid. That was one company I never even looked at. I remember a long time ago seeing it or whatever and just thinking FTX just sounded too perfect to me. It sounded too corporate. I didn't like the name. FTX. I didn't trust it. I didn't know what fucking FTX stood for. And I didn't even care. I just remember hearing the name and going, yeah, I don't trust that. Isn't that funny? Marketing is important, man. But I guess no one else felt like I did because they got so big, you know? And they ripped off so many people. I wonder how many customers were holding crypto inside FTX when they claimed bankruptcy. Celsius, I know it was more than 500,000, but it's almost Celsius. If they could have been lying about that, there could have been a lot more people in there. Oh shit! I was like, get the fuck up off the air, bro.
Classic PDF. Are you from New York?
Am I from New York? No, I'm not from fucking New York. What makes you think I'm fucking from New York? Huh? You think I like New York style pizza? Of course everybody loves New York style pizza. What's wrong with you? It's got the oil dripping off it. The oil, it's all about the oil. Speaking of oil, I like oil. 710. Hey, that guy needs God. He's always talking
Oh, I
about
need to pack.
Classic PDF.
Take your time.
Say coffee.
Coffee. Cafefe. I like a nice latte. I like a good cappuccino. Al Pacino, pistachio. I had to cool down because I got hot after that last dab. My sweat started coming out of my forehead. But I was outside working earlier. I cleared those 3 spots for the citrus. You guys that were watching on the main channel, you got to see the planting of the seeds. It's pretty cool. That is... Those 3 of those are going to go out there, and I've got the 3 areas all weed-eated and ready. I just got to dig a hole and pop them in there. Once the sprouts sprout, I will do that. Okay, so now I'm going to eat.
We packed.
Improved product tagging. Creative Insider. Improved product tagging. Yeah, that's really helping out the fucking the content providers, right? Improved content, improved product tagging, because they're so focused on selling you shit. Fuck them, Creative Insider. 2250. So we're gonna do 2350. 2350, and you know it would help me immensely if I had a dab on deck. Which I do not have a dab on deck. And now I do. Because I'm a professional. And I professionally dabbed it up. Now, I said 24... What did I say? I don't remember. I'm not a professional. I forgot the time. I got the time! What did I say? 24:20? Anybody know? Should we do 24:20? I don't want to blow the dab. Anybody know? No. I think we're about ready. But nobody's going to tell me because nobody heard my time. I called the time and nobody heard my time. All right. I'm assuming I'm looking at 24:10 or something. I have no idea. No law regarding cannabis. Cheers, Cyber. Cheers, Classic PDF, Edwin Sparks, and anybody that might be watching over there on Rumble, and Arafat over there on the... Oh, my dab fell off my dabber. No big deal. I got it. Cheers.
Cheers, bro. Cheers, everybody.
Enoch Emmanuel Torres. Iowa. Photogit Avogadit Son. Trendy Nick. Cheers.
Cheers, Nick. I just inhaled so much
Cheers,
dab
Nick.
smoke. Oh my god.
Enoch Emmanuel Torres. What up, son?
Enoch. I got my Beaslin. Check out my Beazle, he be Beaslin. Beaslin all day. Beaslin all day. Little Beazles. Beaslin all
Enoch
day.
Emmanuel Torres. I guess my last comment went against community standards. PSHHH Unreal. I'ma head to YouTube.
What up, son? What else did you say? I must have missed it. Home Depot changed their name to The Home Depot. You heard it here first, folks. Gotta turn my fan on. Dabson.
Enoch YU Beaslin 420. I'm over here now.
Yeah, you went from Facebook to the YouTube. The YouTube. The YouTube. YouTube.
Patrick John Welder. I remember when Facebook was the Facebook. Now it's the cockbook.
Yeah. Fuck book. Now it's metastasized. Metatastasized. Fox 2, away. Dude, what was that, Cyber?
Trendy Nick.
Oh, what's a bad guy?
Sup Enoch.
Oh, he went by like a missile, bro.
Yep.
Patrick John Welder. What a brilliant idea Facebook was, that wasn't even thought of by its founder. Crazy.
Right? It was a great idea. It wasn't Mark Zuckerberg's. He stole it from the twins and that other guy. Those three dudes. Mark Zuckerberg walks around and gets all the credit for creating Facebook. No one remembers that he stole that shit. It's like everyone thinks that. Thank you, Luce. Have a good night. No one thinks that. Everyone thinks that Elon Musk invented Teslas and electric cars and shit.
Enoch
Drives
YU
me
Beaslin
rockets to land on
420.
their own ass.
Yo, Nick's up,
Everything,
brother.
fucking tunneling
Number
underground,
much just watching a
electric
movie Highwayman.
fucking magnetized monorails. Everything that he ever thought of was always thought of from someone else before he thought of it, and yet everyone gives him credit for being some mastermind. He's never really had one original thought at all. And then he bought Twitter so that he could control the speech and attack people that he didn't like. It's fucking crazy. He blocked Matt Taibbi after using him for the fucking Twitter files. He blocked him. It's fucking crazy. He's a fucking man-child. He's an overgrown man-child. Did you guys see him dancing in a club the other day? Who saw that? Who saw Elon dancing in the club? Yo, he was up in the club. We're all firm up in the club. Did you guys see that shit? Man, I don't know when this video was from, but it seems fairly recent. So this was in Mexico, I guess.
Enoch YU Beaslin 420. Nay, I bet it was cringe just like his SNL act.
Dude,
Patrick John Welder. I did see that LMAO
you
a
tell
robot
me,
has better
how
awkward
cringe
moves,
it is
LOL.
when the wealthiest man in the world is getting ignored by every single human being on the dance floor. Look, there is this group of women that he approaches, and they all have their backs turned towards him. He's such an idiot. They're not showing it. They're only showing that. That's so funny. Bro, that's it right there. Right there. Look, there it is right there. Look, he's like trying to dance all up on them girls, and none of them girls want to have anything to do with him. Literally, they all have their backs turned towards him. They're like, yeah, get away from me, you fucking creepy old billionaire piece of shit. Nobody likes you, and you smell like fucking garlic and onion. Seething out your fucking pores. It's seething out your pores, man. God. Ugh, just know that guy just
Enoch YU Beaslin
has an odor
420.
about him. Ugh, just
LMFAO.
We've got Arafat Nakba chilling, dude. That's what's up. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. Unnecessary. Got the chat right there.
Patrick John Welder. It's like he's some mutant crawling in his skin.
I don't know, dude. He's fucking weird.
Kevin Vaught. Cheers everybody.
Sweating whiskey.
Enoch YU Beaslin 420. Kinda looks like child trapped in a 50-year-old body.
Oh, Punch Up Podcast and I are going to disagree on this. I love them, but here we go. Here we go, folks.
Yeah, so,
I love these kids.
it's always interesting to me with all the gun violence, which is so horrifying. I mean, it's just horrifying.
Right. A lot of people get killed by guns. It's true. A lot of people get killed a lot of different ways. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not just guns. Cars. We have manufacturing accidents. We've got people getting killed by getting toxified, poison, freaking getting overweight, dying of and then the number one killer is heart disease. People just dropping dead of heart attacks. I mean, we could outlaw the cause. We know what causes heart disease. We could outlaw sugar. We could outlaw fatty foods, force everyone to eat vegetables and rice and healthy foods. And someone can decide, what's the healthiest thing. And then you can save more lives you'd save with a diet than you would by controlling guns, and then everyone would still be able to defend themselves against a corrupt government. But I digress. Let's not forget about our corrupt government as we have this discussion.
We've had 199 mass shootings this year already, and so many of the people are described as having mental issues, and I'm sure they all do, whether they're sort of like clinical or just from being part of a country that is telling everybody to, pull yourself up from your bootstrap. And I'm not excusing, I am in no way excusing the violence. It's horrifying. But this idea that it's just about mental health and we need to get more mental health workers in there, I just don't see how that is going to help.
Oh, well, it's not going to hurt. And fortifying schools isn't going to hurt. And allowing people to carry guns in public isn't going to hurt, in my opinion, because we've already got plenty of states that have that. And we've also got plenty of examples of people that have tried to murder a bunch of people that get stopped by somebody with a gun. It's not going to hurt. I mean, you're still going to have people with guns. This isn't really... We are not going to agree on anything.
Really don't, because what people need are...
We'll see.
Living wages, houses over their heads, health care, and those are issues that
Enoch
nobody is
YU
actually
Beaslin 420.
even proposing that we deal with.
Exactly,
So
nay, speak on it,
it's all
son.
just about treating their drug issues, not the underlying reason, and why a person might have those drug addictions. I mean, I don't know.
We're a sick society. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The gun issue on its own is, we have this gun culture where everyone's got a big boner for guns. Like other countries don't have that. I mean, even the countries with guns.
I don't have a boner for guns, Pat, but I'll tell you what I do have a boner for: protecting myself against a corrupt government. The only thing I can see that would help me do that is a gun. So it's not about me having some kind of a sexual fantasy around guns. It's not about me running around here, and flipping a gun around and acting like I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, some kind of an action hero, and role playing with a gun or anything like that. It's here for one.
And I didn't get. Oh,
go ahead. You didn't get what?
I didn't get fucking addicted to heroin because I wanted to. I mean, it's the same fucking argument, And it's not something you want to do,
Yeah, it's not like you woke up one day and said, man, I can't wait to just get addicted to this drug. I just can't wait.
Man.
I can't wait to just have guns laying around my house. I'm so excited about that. There are people, there's a gun culture, absolutely. There are people who get off on them and shit like that. I understand that. But I would say that the majority of gun owners, and there's a lot of them, aren't like that. And we really just have our guns. And my gun right now is for my own protection against someone that might be on drugs or a gang of people or whatever that might come here to do me harm. That's why I have the gun that I have right now. The guns that will be here soon enough are the ones that I have for a corrupt government. And to me, that's the most important part of gun ownership, is that people have guns, not necessarily use them and show them and display them, but that the government know that we have them and that we are willing to use them when they decide to start becoming fascist. Now, our government is becoming fascist from both the Biden administration, from the DeSantis administration, from the previous Donald Trump administration. We have been, from the Barack Obama administration, these presidents have been starting fascism. And it was Barack Obama started fascism in this country, wasn't it? I believe it was. It was the the law that he passed, it was called the Indefinite Detention Act. And I remember when that first started. It was during the Obama administration, and I was so angry because I had just voted for Obama the second time. And it was either just had or I was going to, and he was passing this thing, and I was like, I can't believe I have to vote for this guy after he's passed this. This is a fascist law. And what he's doing is he's making it possible so that when the next president, and it was Donald Trump, steps into office, he's going to be able to use that act as however he sees fit. We have a corrupt government. This discussion isn't really about guns. I need guns against what the discussion should really be about. Do you agree that we have a corrupt, fascist government? You're going to say, well, but we're living in America. We have all these freedoms. Some people might disagree with you right now about their freedoms. There's marginalized groups here already. That's how fascism starts. And if you aren't seeing that, and you're willing to surrender something that's resulting in less deaths than heart disease, nicotine, car accidents, natural disasters, or medical malpractice or drug overdoses, whatever the case may be, I just think that when you start taking our rights away because you're scared of the messiness of guns, the ugliness and the loss that we have to suffer because of them, you become exactly the problem. You become fascist yourselves. I'm not saying you guys are fascists, but I'm saying that you have to recognize that our government is fascist. Joe Biden is fascist. Ron DeSantis is fascist. As far as I'm concerned, somebody who runs and tells you, look, if you elect me, we're going green energy, man, we're not going to drill anymore. And then when he gets into office, he starts drilling. That's fascism to me. To me, that's someone that pushed their agenda on you and lied to you about it. They got power. They seized power, right, in their election. They seized power, and then they came in there, and they did exactly what they said they weren't going to do. They're going to forgive student loan debt, right? And now they're going to be reneging on that as well, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. And we could go on and on and on with failed policies. Let's talk about women's rights for 5 seconds. What did Joe Biden do for women's rights? Did he get caught? Did he get anything done to help women at all? Did they do anything to try to stop this? Did they put new judges in? Did they expand the court? How many judges has Joe Biden appointed? How many bills has Joe Biden written to defend women? States' rights, my ass.
Don't have this I need to have 50 fucking guns.
Yeah.
They have to shoot 50 rounds a second, and
and where
not everybody's
everyone's
like
seen
that.
as a threat. Like even somebody who rings your
Right,
doorbell.
there is a gun culture, and he is right. And there are people who like to have, excess. Which, hey man, for whatever reason they see that there's a scenario where they might need it. Whether it's an entire storeroom full of weapons and ammunition. Hey man, you don't know they got 6 or 7 friends and they're all going to be using those weapons together. And in some kind of a scenario where, hey man, did you see Red Dawn? Imagine that. Now Russia decides to just parachute into the United States and take it over. Because right now we're basically at war with them. What would stop Russian soldiers from showing up at your door right now? Imagine that.
Exactly, yeah, right
Want
now,
guns?
because right now, today, or was it yesterday, a Russian tanker, a tanker or a freighter or something got a engine stop right outside one of the islands in Denmark. So, yeah.
They could have offloaded a bunch of soldiers.
Who knows? Or else they have if it was, this is just a scenario, that's if they have a tanker laying there, that is, what you call it, trying to avoid the embargo there's on oil. So NATO might attack that ship,
Well,
I mean,
it can be a corrupt government. It can be another corrupt government. It can be a gang of thugs. I don't care, man. That just people knowing that any house that they break into, there might be someone in there with guns is a deterrent. It doesn't. That by itself, just that deterrent is more important than I think the people that get slaughtered by guns in this country every day. And I know it happens every day. I outweigh it with medicines. I outweigh it with cars. The same way, I'm like, yeah, I know somebody's going to die today in a car, absolutely, and it's horrible, and I hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, I'm not going to go give up my cars because somebody died in one. You know, I need those cars. Even maybe it is to get in my car and drive away from a corrupt government. Maybe it's to run over a corrupt government with my car. Whatever it is, you know, it gives me that extra help as a tool that I need as a human to survive. For in specific cases, I might have to go somewhere. I might have to go buy something. You know, the same thing is with that fucking gun. There's a specific use for that.
Exactly, and they're seen as a threat in part because all we have is a police response. We don't have. There's no example of healthcare workers were called to the scene and talked him down, got him assistance, and I mean, obviously this is all coming to light right now because of the Neely incident on the subway, where a homeless person who was clearly mentally ill had an episode and was choked to death for 15 minutes. This guy held him in a chokehold. That chokehold, usually someone can pass out within from 10 to 60 seconds. They're passed out. At that point, you have to release the hold immediately so they get oxygen back to their brain, or you kill this person, very likely. 2 minutes can kill a person like that. And this guy did it for 15 minutes while people around him were telling him this guy may have shit himself. They were saying
it's obviously a sign of system failure. Like that's
yeah.
And and then what happens is they say like, oh, he had mental health issues. Well, I don't know. How do you? First of all, like I think his mom had been killed by a stepfather or uncle when he was 14. He was homeless. Like, I mean, if I'm uncomfortable for about 5 minutes, I start feeling like not who I want to be, right? This person is living on the streets, having to, busk for money, and saying, I think he was saying, I'm hungry, saying, I don't care if you arrest me, and took his shirt off. And now he had like 50.
He said, I don't care if I go to jail.
Law infractions.
He said some really intimidating and threatening things to those people. He absolutely did.
Altercations.
He put some people in fear.
That's not great. Nobody should have to feel scared walking through life.
Right.
But some of them, because what they do is they criminalize everything about being homeless. So, you're sitting there too long. Did you jump the turnstile? They would rather give hundreds of millions of dollars to New York police to make sure that nobody jumps a turnstile than just suck up that money and make public transit free for everybody. Why do we need more police presence there? Why don't we have mass public transit for free? So like everything, were you eating on a subway stand? Remember the guy a few years ago in San Francisco who was eating a breakfast sandwich on the subway platform and got arrested for that, right? So those are also part of, then that becomes part of your profile of somebody who's had issues with the law, but they've made every single part of being homeless and poor illegal.
And I think when it comes to the cultural element, I mean, this guy was allowed to kill somebody in front of an audience and was let go, wasn't charged. The police hid his name and hid facts from the transcript. I don't know if you listened to some of the transcript, but I mean...
It's like you're talking about a corrupt government, bro. Huh. Government corruption. So you admit the government is corrupt. You're literally giving an example of a corrupt police department that hid facts, that hid a suspect's name, that didn't arrest a murderer. That's corruption, Pat.
The freaking Oracle. So we want everything free now. Wow.
Hey, freaking Oracle.
It was clear, and the police...
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with free transportation. There's nothing wrong with free... You have free medical care, don't you, bro? Wow.
Knew immediately that other
Trust
people
me, bro.
were trying to
Enoch
tell this
Y.
guy
Hazelin
that
for
you're-
Your
420.
free medical care costs way
Like one of my
more
closest friends.
than free
He's
transportation would
suited and
cost.
booted.
killing this guy.
Just in case the
And
hits the fan dude
police
is
hid
ready.
that from the public. So that they
Hashtag
could
responsible
frame
gun
this
owner.
as this
Hashtag 2ND
out of
That
amendment.
was
control,
just so. It was
dangerous
a little
homeless person.
hypocritical
Right.
there, Ken.
Yeah, and then they're just going to keep
Mr.
talking about
freaking
mental
Oracle.
illness and how we have to throw
We
money
do pay for
at
medical
social
care.
What?
workers,
I
which
thought
is
you guys
fine.
had Medicare for all. What do you mean you pay for medical care in Canada? What? Let's talk about that. What do you mean? I thought you go to a doctor, you're sick, they give you free everything. You're taken care of, man.
The freaking Oracle. I paid 1,000 this year STRAT to medical.
I don't understand why. How? That doesn't seem right. I thought you guys had free health care, man. How?
The
Okay.
freaking Oracle. It's built into our taxes and you pay an amount depending on what you make for the year.
Oh, so you, even if you didn't have medical problems this year, you paid $1,000 for other people's medical care. Through your taxes is what you're saying? You didn't pay for medical procedures. Did you or your family? Go ahead, Summer.
I thought it was like in Denmark where.
The freaking Oracle. Yuppers.
I have literally have gotten procedures and medicine that would have costed me $100,000 or something like that, and I haven't paid anything for it. I live in Denmark. We have free healthcare. I thought that it was the same in Canada.
My next.
Young Henry. What is this show about?
Hey, Young Henry, it's about whatever you want it to be about, bro. We talk to the audience here. We don't ignore people.
And sure, we pay a lot in taxes, for that to happen. But it's free healthcare regardless. And if you need to have something done at the hospital, that's free. Of course, if you have to buy medicine and shit like that, that's gonna cost you money, But a medical procedure, shit like that, that's free.
We pay taxes here in the United States, and our taxes go to war and shit like that. Buy weapons for Ukraine. I would much rather $1,000 of my taxes go to healthcare, even if it is for other people that need it, and I don't need it that year. I'm just kind of wondering, Ken, you or your family, have you guys had any medical procedures this year at all? Have you guys used any doctors or medicines or, eye care, dental, or anything like that, services that were covered through that program? Or have you ever? Go ahead.
I don't think dental is covered. It's not in Denmark either.
No dental?
No. And that
Is that
dental is
expensive?
fucking expensive, man.
Yeah, dentists are expensive, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder how that is in Canada.
I think I talked with Jimmy about that. I don't think dental is covered in Canada either. If I'm correct. I could be wrong. I could remember wrong.
War and shit like that is gospel, bro. Arafat. I got an experiment for him. Where's cocaine?
The freaking Oracle.
Where's cocaine Chris in
No,
Vancouver?
we have benefits from work to cover all that, but now in Canada they have free dental for kids under 12.
No. We have benefits from work to cover all that. But now in Canada, they have free dental for kids under 12. That's a good start. When you consider how much a country pays into war, bro, that's unnecessary and that it could be going to healthcare, I just don't even think there's no question. We're making a huge mistake here in the United States.
Yes, we need more social workers and people who can deal with the problems that exist right now.
Okay, well that goes against what you said before then, because at the very beginning of this, you said, what good are more healthcare workers and social workers and police going to do or whatever. And I was like, wait a minute. And now you're like, okay, good. So now I totally agree with you. Let's throw everything at the problem. Don't just think that there's a a silver bullet that you need to find. You know, you're looking for a needle in a haystack, where what you could be doing is, you know, putting small fires out and getting ahead of it right now when there's plenty of things we can be doing. You want to spend some money. You know, let me tell you something. There's so much money, it's going the wrong places. We've got COVID money, $80 billion. What is it that's fucking sitting there that never got used? They're talking about raiding that
The
right
freaking
now.
Oracle. All countries need a boost in mental health. It's the next pandemic.
Yeah, and we're in it already. By the way people accept lies and want to burn books and history and support these leaders that are doing that, we're already in the mental health pandemic, Ken. I'm convinced. And boy, oh boy, are we outnumbered. It's a zombie freaking population out there.
Need to set in place policies
We are
that
outnumbered.
would prevent these from happening at the level they're happening. No other country is so filled with rage. No other developed country has its citizens so filled with rage because there is a pact with their government. We are the only of 33 developed nations, however that is qualified, we are the only one that doesn't have some form of universal health care.
That's true.
We have not, you know.
We totally agree. See, this is why I love Punch Up Podcast, because even they're going to be doing something that I think I'm going to be disagreeing with, and then turns out I disagree with 99.999% of everything they say.
People can't exist on minimum wage in this country, and we have not raised it in almost 20 years. I mean, what are we doing? Of course people are losing their minds.
I told her, I was like, I like that whole Elvira thing you got going on, and she said Elvira thing, huh? She laughed at me on Twitter.
There is no community effort from our government, and so everybody's told, you know, you do you, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, rugged individualism. They have pushed that into our brains for 50 years.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, that's speaking to the views, to the issue from his perspective as a homeless person. And
right on
the
air,
other
Pat.
piece of society is that this public murder was allowed because it's like it's dividing people into teams. You know, it's like, and what's the purpose of that? I mean, I think the purpose is that our government knows they're going to have to control the people that are out of control, the people that aren't getting their needs met. And so that's why the police cover this up. That's why the police are going after protesters. I mean, you had a Pulitzer Prize journalist arrested in the protest.
I mean, anybody in that bus could have stopped that guy from getting killed in that subway.
The freaking Oracle.
Guy's on the ground.
But when minimum wage goes up, goods and services goes up, and you're still at the same point. Education to get a higher paying job is key.
You just go right up to him and you just take your foot, you know, and you just kind of just give him a little tap in the back of his head with your foot. I mean, not like a soccer kick, but I mean just a little tap in the back while he's choking the dude. You come up, you give him a little tap on the back of his head, and he's going to look up and you go, what the fuck are you doing? And say, I'm going to do it about 10 times harder if you don't fucking let go of him right now. And I guarantee you, that guy would still be alive. Not a single person in that fucking subway train thought that would be a good idea. All of those people should be charged. You know, every single one of them should be charged with that fucking homicide. They all sat there. They were all complicit. It's bullshit. But, you know, I digress about that. Everyone might have a different, you know, opinion about that. But I think even my mother would have done something about it.
Beating up protesters.
She's 81
too.
years old.
Yeah. Well, and we just saw a totally peaceful protester down in Atlanta, Cop City, shot, I mean, dozens
with his
of
hands
times.
up.
With his hands up dozens of times. And of course, at first they lied and said that he had shot at them. And then the autopsy showed that that wasn't at all what had happened. Hands up, legs crossed. I think he was shot 57 times, you know, and on Biden's own Justice Department website, yeah, that if you are talking against capitalism, if you're protesting, if you're speaking too loudly, you can be considered an enemy of the state. Sorry, yeah, what is...
Once again.
Oh, this is just an article on the vigils. This is one of the people beat
Once
up at the
again,
vigil.
they're explaining
Since
a
2011,
fascist
I've been monitoring
government that doesn't let us
protests. This is the first time I
protest.
ever
A
decided to go
second
after them,
example
so I was like,
of
whoa,
a
the game
fascist
just
government.
changed right now. So
They're
he's
arguing
monitoring
that they don't
the
like
protests.
guns. I'm
So
telling
there's
them,
the photojournalist
we have a
who's
fascist
arrested.
government.
Yeah, this guy is getting beaten up by the police. Sorry, that I was taking it off. Yeah. Here is somebody, you know, remember all the...
We have a fascist government, and that is why we need guns. We need to go places. That is why we need cars. People gonna die both ways. People gonna die in cars. People gonna get run over by cars. People gonna shoot themselves with guns. Other people are gonna get shot by guns. It's just part of what we need in this society. And when you're sitting here explaining other instances of fascism in your government, I don't understand the whole gun conversation. It seems moot. The point is moot.
The sympathy that people had, of course, for the victims of the school shooting in Uvalde. And here's somebody who is there to protect one of the Uvalde parents, right? Because they're already getting threats from the police in that town because the police were completely inept and tried to hide their ineptitude that led to the slaughter of all those children and some teachers. And
Uvalde,
here he is.
yeah.
State troopers just escorted him out of the Texas Capitol for chanting too loudly outside the House chamber. So, you know, they are going to make protesting completely illegal, and they'll
yes.
come up with all sorts of reasons. You're too
Once again, fascist government. Let's go on.
loud. You didn't get the right permit.
Why
you
we
weren't
need
supposed to be
guns?
here, but we see how they treat.
She's literally defending my position for me right now that we have a fascist government. That is why we need guns. If the two of them don't own a gun, that's their personal choice. I salute them in living that way. Absolutely. I do not trust this government. Hey, Cyber's about to have sex with that other plane.
Proud Boys, we see how they treat people who are trying to deny access to abortion centers. They're fine with them.
Yep, and the guy that murdered Neely, same thing, because
Yeah.
he's acting in a way that the police would have acted. So he's a vigilante on the right side of justice, which is the same excuse as the Proud Boys. You know, it's like,
Yep. Who's that kid who shot people? Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
Who's that kid that shot people?
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
which one?
which is why,
There's a
again,
billion of
when
them.
Yeah, which one?
Biden
Yeah.
gives more
Holy-
money to cops, and then people say you can't vote, you have to vote for Biden or you're helping fascism. Spare me.
They're pushing the police state harder than the right would ever be able to.
Yeah.
And New York is a good example. I mean, New York they took COVID money and gave it to police departments.
Yep. And again, just like every other thing, it's such a systemic problem, even like back in our COVID segment, and we
They
didn't
don't
show
give
this,
you,
but
like, a
all these
fucking- you
people,
just gotta
there was
center
just a
that
big,
bitch.
article on them that first they got long COVID, and then it made them homeless.
Yeah, I absolutely hated it with the
Because
probe.
they were in the gig economy.
Bro, that is a bitch. Oh my
It
god,
is.
watching you sit here trying to do that, holy shit, bro. Oh my god. I'm gonna tell them over at Destiny's you're trying to do this right now.
because we don't have living wages, we don't have free health care. So when you get sick, you can't go to work, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, as we know, like what 70% of the country, 68% is like, so that is why you're seeing more and more homeless people. I mean,
Yeah, well, and half the country can't afford $1,000. They don't have $1,000 saved up. So
Yeah.
look at how expensive your copays could put you over the $1,000. Your copays, if you have coverage, and it
And
is
you can be
somehow
paying thousands of dollars a month for coverage, and then you'll be denied your claims.
so what do? I mean, there's no way, to not go to work at some point. I mean, you're not paid to stay home with COVID, for a long enough period of time. They're pushing people to get back into work in hospitals.
Damn,
people
bro.
people are working at hospitals.
There you go.
Being told, come in as soon as your fever breaks with COVID and start working.
Oh, dope.
I don't know, Pat. Where's our timeline cleanse?
Oh, no, don't do it. No, why do you guys do that? I don't like it. Ugh. God. Sounds like somebody's letting helium out of a balloon.
Hi there, Chris. What you doing today? Can you come over and walk my dog for me? I got that new Xbox game, GTA 5. You gonna come in here and play with me? Oh, Chris, where are you going? You always running away. You always running away from me, Chris.
Oh. Dude, every time Chris Regpick comes in here, I'm going to have to do that to him.
Chris, you here to play that Xbox game with me?
I really hope that these...
Young Henry. Hello Trendy's Trendy Nay reporting in live.
Hello, Trendies! Trendy Nay reporting in live from Northern California. Home of Trendy As Dabbers and all things trendy. We find me, you, and hashtag trendies on all forms, sources, and sorts of social media, especially right here, right now, with you, doing the thing that we're doing. As we get ready to heat and serve and watch Cyber have sex with this plane. Cyber's trying to sex this plane up, man. It's such a tease.
I need to pack a bong hitman before I fucking lose my mind. I used to be good to this. I used to
Really?
be able to fucking fly this
Bro,
thing. Yeah,
maybe
man.
choose
I
a
used
day
to
that's
be
not
able
so
to do
windy.
it because when you fly the long missions, you have to be able to do this.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure,
dude.
right?
Yeah.
Or you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yep.
The freaking Oracle. I watched the movie 65. It was pretty good.
But this is a small
65.
plane. I trained with the big. There's a bigger one that's the size of a huge fucking 747. This one is a small one,
So it
and
gets
it has that boom that hose that's going out is shorter than the one on the longer plane.
That's what she
so,
said.
It actually makes it harder.
That's what she said. All right, so hey, we got 7:10. It looks like I'll be smoking right then at 7:10, something like that. It's great for me. Yeah, man. Let's see. When's that orange glow gonna go?
Michael Goldsmith.
Michael Goldsmith.
Hey, Nick.
Michael Goldsmith. Okay, that orange glow is gonna go. It's gonna go. Okay, so I'm basically at 7:10.
The freaking Oracle.
10 before 7:10.
And she said it multiple times. H-A-H-A-H-A.
She had multiples, huh? That's good. Multiples are good. I like multiples. Multiples are good. Yeah, man. Right before 7:10. And MSNBC and The View hosts attack Anderson Cooper over the Trump town hall. Whatever. Moment of clarity. Even Google CEO says new AI changes everything. All right,
They're
that'll
fucking
be
not.
interesting.
They're going away. They're all going away. And as I often say, and most people won't tell you this, that should be a good thing. But most of you know about the advances in AI that have happened recently. They're jumping forward. they're jumping forward and.
All right, no law regarding cannabis. Cheers, Cyber. Cheers, everybody. Happy 710.
With like
Cheers,
ChatGPT,
everybody.
etc. And many, even people you would consider pretty repulsive, are kind of worried and talking about how I think we need to do something to deal with this. I think we need to be ready for this. And because, well, let me give you the article and then I'll go over that. This is the former Google CEO Eric Schmidt on the next phase of AI. We need to have this conversation now. Now, this guy's a piece of shit. I mean, you should know that. Anybody who's the Google CEO is a piece of shit. But he also knows what he's talking about in terms of AI. And instead of us actually, like, by have this conversation, he means, like,
Young
we
Henry.
need to figure out what's
Kid
going
Rock
on
donated
here. Are we just gonna
$5,000
let
to the Marine
AI
who murdered the innocent guy
humans
recently.
in this world,
Said.
or are we gonna
Well,
actually prepare for?
They out themselves, and you can see who these people are. You know, it's par for the course with Kid Rock. It doesn't surprise me one bit. I'm glad that he lets everyone know what a piece of human garbage he is all the time.
For it correctly. ChatGPT created a turning point for artificial intelligence that even former Google CEO and chairman Eric Schmidt.
How much you want to bet that if the roles were reversed and the man who got choked out and killed was a white man done by a black human, he wouldn't have given shit for that guy's defense?
Didn't see coming. I didn't believe this a year ago, he said. I believe the industry has gone through this watershed moment and is addressing it. Yeah, right. I think, they're finding out the way to make the most profit from it. I think that the good news in America is when these things happen, everyone has an opinion and everyone gets to be heard. Right. Everyone has an opinion and everyone gets to be heard.
It's bullshit. It's yeah. You know, everyone has an opinion and everyone gets to be heard, but it doesn't change anything that we're going to do. And nobody's going to slow down and nobody's going to stop. Nobody's going to pass any regulation to stop this because none of these people realize the implications of what we're allowing. AI is fun now, man. It's all fun and games, man, until that hangover hits, guys. Just like everything else, man. Just like everything else. There is not going to be a good outcome with AI.
If, first of all, some people get arrested for their opinion. Some people, like yours truly, get their YouTube channel banned globally.
And let me just tell you, got you kids out there that watch Destiny, if you don't know who Lee Camp is, me and Lee Camp and a whole bunch of other people, we've been broadcasting on YouTube for years. And we've been paving the way for people like Destiny to come in here and take over. So understand, there were people here before that you don't see anymore. Because our times are basically expired on YouTube, man. YouTube has kicked us off. It's a miracle that I can even broadcast to YouTube today.
Podcast deleted. But besides just that, even if that weren't true, everybody gets to have a voice. Yeah, well, the CEO of Google has a much bigger voice, doesn't he? So everybody doesn't have a voice. And the more money you have, the more voice you have. And in fact, the Supreme Court...
I start a new YouTube channel up and see how big of a voice you fucking have.
Yeah, right? God, no shit.
A gaggle of troglodyte
Lee Camp, bro, there's nothing worse than what happened to Lee Camp. Getting the notoriety that he reached and then having it all taken away. I mean, he really feels the pain, you know? God, imagine that.
Yeah.
Puppets... they decided that money is speech, which in many ways it was beforehand.
And then to have that other fucking cunt come in and steal his fucking name of his show, Redacted, that fucking cunt. And YouTube has done nothing to stop those motherfuckers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Lee Camp had this show forever called Redacted Tonight. It was huge. Then they took him off YouTube, and this other guy started a fucking program called Redacted, and he's a Fox News cast-off. He's a right-wing cunt job. And, he tries to act like he's independent, whatever. He's another fucking Tim Pool, fucking hot mess piece of shit.
Anyway, but they decided that, and so... Yeah, money apparently is speech. So the more money you have, the more speech you have. So how much speech do you think the Google CEO has? This idea that, everyone has their right to speak up. Yeah, well, the poorest of us are standing on a sidewalk. How many people do they get to speak to? Whereas the richest of us can print articles in Yahoo Finance and get their points out there.
No shit.
So
we all have a voice, yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of where everybody can be heard. No, they can't. He says it's a very large change because the arrival of intelligence means the systems will become much more powerful, and so the companies that adopt AI soon will get an economic advantage. It will take a while, though, before we really see the implications of this. This stuff is only 6 months old, so we have enormous hype and a great excitement. If you look at the history of technology, it's a decade before you really see the transformative nature of it. And so what he's saying is that within a decade, and I think he's absolutely right in this regard, within a decade, the stuff that we're looking at and we're going, oh wow, isn't that cool? Oh cool, you can ask ChatGPT to tell me about the move bombing.
Right.
Although
Here we
if
go.
you want to get the truth about it, you got to say, tell me about the move bombing in the voice, in the style of comedian Lee Camp, and then you'll get the truth about the move bombing. But I'm serious, you can do that. But
you know what it does? It just tries to act like a comedian and tells jokes. They're random jokes, and they're not in the style of Lee Camp at all. I've checked into that, and it just tells these stupid. It's like Google jokes, you know.
You could say these things. Oh, isn't it cool? Isn't it neat?
It's like, hey, I just flew in here, and my arm's tired. Hey, everybody, Lee Camp. You know, it's like that kind of shit.
I ask it a question. Is it neat? I can tell it to review an article or give me the rundown of an article, and in seconds, it'll take an article that would have taken me 10 minutes to read, and it'll summarize it in one paragraph. Isn't that amazing? Right now, we're just going, oh, isn't that cool?
And do you trust that? You know, do you trust that thing is going to extract what you're looking for in there or not? I mean, maybe you should double check that and let us know how that works out.
Cool, and sure, it is putting certain businesses out of business, like the ones that allow you to summarize articles quickly or whatever, like those kind of software things are losing their
Cyberd, can you do external cam on this?
I don't do this at the same time. That's fucking impossible.
I mean, okay, like the view from the.
But I cannot fucking hook up to anything if I cannot fucking see where I have the probe.
I'm just kind of wondering what it looks like on the outside.
You see, that's the probe. That's a probe I need to get into the basket, and I cannot get that in if I fly behind or anything.
Oh, so it's
impossible.
it's within your line of sight. I thought it was under the plane. I got you.
No, it's right there.
I got you. That's basically the penis right there. What you got there? You got to get that into the vagina hole up there. It's flying around. It's playing hard to get.
They're ground, but in the next years, that ability to take the entire internet and have an answer and do what ChatGPT is just kind of is doing in just a tiny way will revolutionize everything across our society. And most of us don't realize it, and much like when they brought in the automobile and the people with the building the wagons go like, people are not going to want to be on the automobile. It's too scary. It's too fast. Okay, we wagon builders will be doing fine. Trust.
Said no one ever, Lee. As soon as someone was explained the concept of not having to feed your fucking transportation and clean up its shit and tie it to a fucking railing, I'm sure they were sold on the idea.
It's me. Nobody's moving to those scary old things. With all technology, that always happens. And right now, a lot of people are doing it with saying that most of our jobs are still going to be around. They're fucking not. They're going away. They're all going away. And as I often say, and most people won't tell you this, that should be a good thing. If we lived in an advanced, rational society, then you get rid of work, you give the benefit to the people, and then everybody has more time to actually live a life they want, a life of passion, a life of rewards for doing things they want to be doing, as opposed to the life of wage slavery, the life in a job they hate, as opposed to that life They could be living a much better life, but we are such slaves to it that many people, they live in that Stockholm syndrome, and they go, oh no, my job as an accountant, oh, what do you mean it's going to go away? But if we responded appropriately, this could be a wonderful thing. But we won't, because capitalism, because of the market economy. The richest will use this for their benefit. The poorest will have no benefit just about from this. And if you think about the list of jobs that will disappear probably in the next 10 years, all kinds of journalists, even unless it's very creative, very poetic type of journalism, most of what we read online, etc., is it's just taking an event and summarizing it, and that will all be gone. It can be done by bots already. Many articles that you now read are written by bots, and you just don't know it yet. So it'll essentially be all of journalism will be gone, and eventually we'll get to that deep fake level where, in fact, they could have it'll take all of TV jobs too. Eventually, you could plug in something like me talking right now. You plug in 5 minutes of that into the computer, and it can make me say whatever it wants, moving my lips appropriately. Very, very disturbing, but we're headed there too. So all journalism, all writers, unless, again, it's exceedingly creative, all bureaucratic matter jobs are all gone. Basically, any job that's done on a laptop that isn't very creative will be gone. Doctors. I mean, even these things that people are like, I'm a doctor, I'm super smart. Okay? That's why I talk like this. And so it's not taking my job. Doctors, already, when they put in symptoms into a AI, and they, kind of unusual list of symptoms, and they compare it with a doctor, it's equal to or better than most doctors, which would make sense. That the AI is not biased by certain things, and on top of that, it has all of the information, whereas doctors, I don't know if you know this, can forget things. So all doctors, except for maybe certain kinds of surgeons, but otherwise, all doctors gone. All transportation will be gone. Transportation is 1/6 of our economy. Transportation jobs, apparently. All the people who help other people navigate the systems, like healthcare systems, all that's gone. All haircuts will be done by a Dyson vacuum with blades. We're going to bring back the Flowbee, but it'll be better. That'll be all haircut jobs. Will be just
the
Dyson.
suck vac.
They'll have it in the bathrooms, in the public bathrooms, in the same place where they have the fecal matter blowing machines. For those who don't know that, those machines where you dip your hands in and it goes, woo! They found out that they just cycle the air in the bathroom and spray it onto your hands. So really, they just spray you in fecal matter from the entirety of the bathroom onto your hands before you leave, which is an interesting way to leave a bathroom. We use a public restroom, wash our hands, spray everyone else's fecal matter on them, and then dip out. It's interesting. But no, statistically, they did figure that out. I'm not even kidding. But so they'll just put it next to that thing. So you can dip your hands in the fecal spreader as you dip your head into the Dyson hair cutter, and we'll just do it at the same time. Just have both of those, and you can walk out back to your unemployment. A lot of the the obligation of teachers, all of that will be gone again, with the exception of maybe certain kinds of very creative type of teaching. It all be gone. All be gone. Even high school gym teachers. I mean, I'm sure that a chat bot, a chat GPT can vaguely sexually harass 16-year-old girls. I'm sure that can be done. Like, how tough could an algorithm do they have to find? To sexually harass some high school girls? You don't need a human anymore. But you take all of that. All of these jobs are gone. And again, a lot of people are sounding the alarm like, what are we going to do? We won't have the jobs, and then the poor people
You get
will
a nerve!
and yet, the next step of that conversation is almost never had. The fact the fact
The
that we should
cyber
not
go,
live
go,
in a
buddy,
wage
go.
slavery
You got it,
society.
buddy.
And if you take away the
Oh,
jobs,
what?
you give, you should
Damn
give
it.
the benefits, the time, the money, the life benefits of that to the people, and then
shit glitched
you
out
don't
of
have
there.
this freak out that we're losing jobs.
That shit glitched. It was in there, bro. I totally saw it.
Josh G. Howdy.
Hey, Josh. No, Harley, get away. No. No. Now you're just being a pain in the ass. Go on, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm throwing it at you.
Josh G.
The power
Careful,
of,
cyber
the power
LOL.
of cat compels you. That's the power of oxygen. Billy Mays.
Josh G. Steady. Steady.
Oh,
What the hell?
not a little fuel.
Ah! Need a tractor beam, bro.
Josh G. How are those banana trees doing?
The ones, these are just the decoys. The ones that are down by the creek are insanely big. Beautiful. I'm gonna make these go away. Not interested in shorts. Fuck you. How about that? How sugar causes inflammation.
When you consume sugar, you are poisoning your mitochondria. Sugar and cyanide do the same thing. This is the toxin.
As I'm sitting here eating sugary grapes,
What are the key negatives when we consume the levels of sugar that many of us are currently consuming?
Well, first of all, let's make it very clear that sugar is not the only problem in our diet. It's the big one. It's the 2,000-pound gorilla in our diet, but there's other stuff too. But sugar is a particularly egregious molecule. Once upon a time, trans fats were the worst thing we consumed. Trans fats are the devil incarnate. Trans fats, the bacteria can't chew it up, which is why they put the trans fats in, all right, so that, it would last forever, the 10-year-old Twinkie. Well, the fact is our mitochondria, our little energy burning factories inside all our cells, are really refurbished bacteria. We can't chew it up either. So the exact same reason for why they put the trans fats in the food is exactly why you shouldn't eat the food. Now we know that, and they've come out of our diet. So now sugar is public enemy number one. So what does sugar do? And the answer is a whole bunch of bad things.
Here you go.
The food industry says sugar's energy. Well, they're correct if you're a bomb calorimeter. If you just blow it up, if you explode it, yeah, you get 4 calories per gram. But we are not bomb calorimeters. Turns out that sugar actually poisons the mitochondria. Okay, it poisons it in 3 separate enzymes that are necessary for mitochondria to do their job. The first one, AMP kinase, which is the fuel gauge on the liver cell. The second one, ACAD-L, acyl-CoA dehydrogenase long chain, which is necessary to get fatty acids into the mitochondria to be able to oxidize them to create energy. And the third one is CPT1, carnitine palmitil.
Yeah! What? What just happened, Cyber? You had it.
I don't know.
That was weird.
It's because he's in a turn right now. So if I'm not banking at the exact same degree as he is, I will fall out of the basket.
I gotcha.
Transferase 1, which is the enzyme that regenerates carnitine, which is the shuttle mechanism that brings the fatty acids into the mitochondria in the first place. In other words, when you consume sugar...
Airfat says, I'd be going for a cheat code if I were you by now, Cyber. Everyone get their daily dose of high fructose. Coke Zero is just as poisonous with their sugar replacement. Airfat.
Sugar, you are poisoning your mitochondria.
Poisoning their brainwashed
You are
minds.
generating less of the chemical energy that our cells get powered by, called ATP. So if you're making less ATP, is that energy? It's the opposite of energy. So when you consume sugar, you are actually inhibiting your body's energy production. Can you think of a chemical that inhibits your mitochondria and reduces ATP production? Cyanide. Cyanide does that. Okay? Sugar and cyanide do the same thing. Now, obviously, not as severely. Okay? Cyanide parts per million keel over and die on the spot. With sugar, it's in the parts per thousand, and you don't keel over on the spot, but you feel lousy, and over time, it's going to take its toll. But ultimately, if you're inhibiting your mitochondria, you are poisoning your body. And we now have the data to show how that occurs. So here's my question to you and your audience. Sugar is in virtually all ultra-processed foods, and ultra-processed foods are now 56% of the UK diet, and the amount of sugar that Brits eat, 62% of it is found in the ultra-processed food category. Wow. So my question to you and your audience is ultra-processed food...
Was that the refueling plane that just went down?
Yeah, I shut it down. I got pissed.
Damn, that's awesome, bro. Did you do it with guns or a missile?
Guns.
Nice. Nice. I'm going to have to go back and watch that.
I can do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
My view is that it's not really. I would say no, but I know to many people that is super
missile lock on that
controversial.
motherfucker. Beep! I've got tone Fox 2.
But yeah, on a straight answer, I would say no. Depends on your definition, I guess, because it's energy. It's got some calories in it, which we consume.
I bet they're like, what the hell is he doing? Oh my god! Mission failed. I love that.
Mouth enable us on one level to sort of. I guess you're saying
dude,
it's actually
it looked like you were blacking out there for a second.
Yeah, that's when you're pulling too much teeth.
That's awesome, bro. That's fucking awesome.
Using the energy production, the sugar within it anyway. But yeah, on one level, it sustains people and they can actually get on with their days, at least in the short term anyway.
Well, you have to know what the definition of food is. So, if I had my Webster's dictionary right here, right now, you guys, in the UK probably don't use Webster's, you probably have something else. But if I pulled it off the shelf, it would say that the definition of food is the following, and I have no problem with this definition. Substrate that contributes to either the growth or burning of an organism. That's the definition. I have no problem with that definition. It's a fine definition. All right? Substrate that contributes to either the growth or burning of an organism. So, we've just talked about burning. Sugar does not contribute to the burning of an organism. It actually inhibits the burning of an organism. And Dr. Kevin Hall at the NIH did a study where he showed that when you give people ultra-processed food, they burn less and gain more weight when everything else is controlled for compared to the same diet in real food. Did this in 2019. So, ultra-processed food does not contribute to burning. So now let's go to growth. Does ultra-processed food contribute to growth? My colleague, Dr. Efrat Monsenigo Ornan, who is the chairman of the Department of Nutrition at Hebrew University, Jerusalem, just published 3 papers in Bone Research showing that ultra-processed food actually inhibits skeletal growth, inhibits the ability of bones to increase in length and in width. And in addition, we know from the Nutrinet Santé study and many other studies that, in fact, what sugar does is it feeds cancer cells, it hijacks growth.
That's what I've always said. Oh my God, dude. Bro, I never really knew that for sure. I'm just like, I bet cancer feeds off sugar. And man, it's true. I didn't know that. Wow, man. Holy shit.
Sugar doesn't contribute to burning, inhibits it. Doesn't contribute to growth, inhibits it, or hijacks it. So I pose the question to you again, Ranga. Is ultra-processed food food?
I'll go with my original answer, which is no.
That is right. It is no. Ding, ding. That's right. But the point is that the food industry, refuses to
poison.
go there.
It's not food.
The populace refuses.
It's not
to
nourishing
go there.
your body.
The
It's
governments refuse to go there. And you and I are both interested in mitigating chronic disease. Yeah. And you are right. If you get people on a real food diet, you can mitigate virtually any and all of their chronic diseases. I completely agree. You gave a TEDx talk basically saying you can basically take away somebody's chronic disease. I used to do that in my clinic, when I was practicing routinely.
Yeah.
But only if they changed the food.
Man.
And if they did.
This is what my doctor used to tell me. He's like, I'll tell you what you have to eliminate in your diet. You have to eliminate sugar and red meat. He said, if you're eating a lot of both of those things, and I was at the time, he's like, you've got to I was eating so much sugar. I was putting on so much weight. It's when I was with my girlfriend who was cooking for me every night out there in California. And it was very full of sugar and very unhealthy. And, we both got sick.
Didn't change the food. No amount of...
She ended up getting cancer and dying. She consumed a shit ton of Pepsi every day.
Josh G. I hope this man stays protected. Always the real ones who have.
I always said it was
Josh G.
Pepsi that gave
accidents.
Donna fucking cancer. It was fucking Pepsi, dude. Fuck the Pepsi company.
Medicine I threw at them could make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, what strikes
They got
me
her totally addicted to that
as a really key message is that the majority of what we're buying to feed ourselves and our families is ultra-processed food, whether it's here in the UK or with you in America, and that is contributing to this tsunami of chronic ill health that we're seeing. It's pretty...
Josh G.
Why didn't it stay?
Pepsi has more sugar than Coke, if you can believe it. Unreal.
it's not easy to. I have to fly at the exact same speed of that aircraft, and it's not just putting the throttle in one position and then hold it. You constantly have to adjust, walk the throttle forward, forward and back. So you constantly match the same speed as the drone, and it's fucking hard, dude. You have to do that. And then you have to navigate into the drone and at the same time make sure you fucking turn like he turned and shit and pitch like he pitched, and it's actually pretty fucking hard.
Do you like do you do something like put your flaps down or something to make the plane more stable, or is there anything like?
Yeah, I have my flaps half down.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's pretty alarming. But what I think is so key, Rob, for me, is that it's so normalized now. Like, it's the norm everywhere, schools, hospitals. In fact, if you want to go down the real food route, you almost feel like a bit of a, like, you know, if you try and do it with your kids, you actually become a social outcast in some ways. It's,
you're a pariah.
And I think this is the problem. It's the norm. We've moved so far away from what we used to do. In fact, maybe this is a good time for you to explain what you used to do when you were 8 years old, because I believe you had a granddad who lived in Brooklyn. And every Saturday you would do something which I think beautifully illustrates this point.
That's right. So, yeah, bottom line is I completely agree with you. What we've done is we've normalized it. Once upon a time, it was actually not normal to eat ultra-processed food, and today it is normal. And I remember when that happened because it happened to me. It happened to me in two ways. So on Saturday afternoons, my family would go visit my grandparents who lived about, 8 miles away in Brooklyn. And my grandfather would walk me down to the corner grocery store to buy a comic book and a 6.5-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola. And I remember, pretty much every Saturday afternoon. And that was the big treat, the comic book and the Coca-Cola. That was on Ocean Avenue and Avenue N in Brooklyn.
That's how you get addicted.
The fact is that was once a week, and it was 6.5 ounces. All right. Today, children are consuming about, I think, 35 ounces a day, median. So they are getting about 6 times the amount of sugar that I did from that one Coke, and they're doing it every day.
We're producing a generation of poisoned, toxic people. They're all going to just drop dead at early ages. They're all going to have cancer. Our hospitals are going to be overrun.
Instead of once a week.
Can we just pause on that for a second? You're saying you had 6 ounces once a week, and we're assuming back then that the rest of your diet throughout the week was low in sugar, low in processed food, sort of a real food diet?
And I bet the Coke didn't have as much sugar back then.
Jobs,
to the googles.
And so I ate a lot of Swanson TV dinners when they first came out.
There had to be
I remember when they came out around 1964.
Those were good.
The fried chicken, the Salisbury steak. I hated that Salisbury steak.
Loved
And
it. I loved it.
Actually, she trained me on how to turn the oven on and how to heat them up because often she wasn't home at night.
You had to leave the tin foil. You had to leave the tin foil over the dessert, I believe it was, but everything else you peeled the tin foil out. I used to love those fucking things.
To some extent, I was a latchkey kid because my mother worked so hard.
Yeah.
My father was in Manhattan all day, and so I basically had to sort of take care of myself. And sometimes I had to eat dinner, out of the freezer. And so I remember, those Swanson TV dinners, and they were a problem, and they're still a problem. So you put the two together, and that was the beginning of, the shall we say, onslaught of processed food in the United States about the mid-'60s. Then things picked up even more in 1970.
Cyber's all like, this dude's going down.
Fuck with it, suits.
Get him. Get him. You're like, what is he doing back there? Oh my God, he's trying to kill us. Hey, well, maybe you should have flown your plane in a straight goddamn line when you saw he was trying to fuel up, you assholes. See ya. Hate to be ya. I wonder if you see anybody eject out of that.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do.
Oh, that's crazy. Go strafe those motherfuckers. Wouldn't that be funny? Kill them while they're in the parachute.
I don't know if we can find them again, but they jump out.
That's hilarious.
I can show you. Hold on. Show you.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. There's really people in there.
Josh G. says sugar amount has remained the same, however they switched from dextrose to high fructose corn syrup.
Check, look for the parachutes.
Okay.
If I can hit him.
Oh yeah, there they go. There they go. Well, that was awesome, bro. Holy shit, 3 of them, 4 lives you've just destroyed, you man, over the Pacific to be shark bait. Holy shit, dude, it'd be so funny to fly down there and see them swimming down in the water.
5.
I already lost him.
He started substituting
You need to drop a flare on their ass.
high fructose corn syrup for sucrose because it was half as expensive and it was homegrown. And then finally, the pièce de résistance came in 1977 when the McGovern Commission released its report saying that we all needed to eat less fat to try to prevent cardiovascular disease. Well, when you take the fat out of food, it tastes like cardboard. And so what did the food industry do? It basically replaced the fat with sugar. That's why we ended up with Entenmann's fat-free cakes and, and the like. And that was when the pasta craze, first hit was, refined carbohydrate because it was, quote, low in fat, etc. And, now we're off to the races.
Well, now,
it's just exploded.
Luckily, we can make pasta out of zucchini and squash and stuff like that, which is really good, actually.
Ever since.
Is it the sugar that's inherently bad in and of itself, or is it the excess
Tula Tetra.
amounts? I mean, or is it
Hi,
both, right? Because that...
Restream.io. Congratulations. You've received 100 messages today with Restream chat.
I think a lot of people might say, well, look, you know what? This never used to be a problem, right? And we would have the odd sweet treat now and again. But so, and actually, there's quite a few prominent scientists, as you're well aware, Rob, who say actually sugar's not a problem. Sugar's actually completely fine.
Yeah, we're working on it. I have a bone to pick with some of those scientists, and we can argue that and talk about that if you like, as to exactly why they say what they say. So here's what I can tell you. All right.
Oh shit.
There are social drinkers.
Yeah.
And there are alcoholics. Now, social drinkers can pick up a beer and put it down, and they don't need one every day.
I did.
Alcoholics pick up a whiskey and can't put it down, and they need it 3 times a day. Right?
Yeah.
Did the one beer that the social drinker drank hurt them?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. And the reason it's unlikely is because there is what is known as a first pass effect. You drink the alcohol in the beer. First of all, it's very low percentage, right? It's only about 3.6% in a beer, all right? And that is about 60 calories worth of alcohol. And what happens is that the first pass effect, the stomach and intestine metabolize that alcohol before any of it ever gets to the liver. And so the amount that actually hits the liver that could do damage is exceedingly small. And as long as you're not following up with a second beer and a third beer and a fourth beer and a fifth beer, like can happen at the Newcastle pub, you don't usually have a big problem, right? But if you keep doing that, then that is a problem. So it's a dose-dependent phenomenon. And your intestine is there to try to protect your liver from getting the onslaught before it will do damage. Same with sugar. No difference. So your intestine can take a small amount of sugar that you consume and can actually turn it into fat in the intestine.
Oh, bro, yeah, I'm
intestinal
out
de
next one. I'm not
novo
gonna make that next one.
lipogenesis. The process
Yeah,
of
I
converting
totally
sugar
saw
to
that
fat
coming, Cyber.
into VLDL in the intestine
You
so
got a
that
plan for
it
that
will
shit.
not go straight to your liver. All right? And about 10% of an initial sugar bolus will undergo intestinal DNL and therefore be diverted away from the liver and into the bloodstream as VLDL. Now, that VLDL is not great for you because it could ultimately cause heart disease, but it's protecting the liver. But if you consume past your intestine's capacity to do that,
Oh, shit.
now the rest of it's going to end up in your liver. And the problem with sugar in the liver is exactly the same as the problem of alcohol in the liver, because it causes the exact same processes. It causes glycation, it causes oxidative stress, it causes mitochondrial dysfunction, and basically drives insulin resistance, this phenomenon that we now know is at the base of virtually all chronic metabolic diseases. Therefore, your pancreas has to make extra insulin to make the liver do its job, because now the liver's not working right because it's been poisoned.
I'm doing that Galaxy Quest thing again.
And so insulin levels rise all over the body, and now you've got the risk for Alzheimer's, you've got the risk for heart disease, you've got the risk for cancer, you've got the risk for virtually every other chronic metabolic disease on the plate. All because of what happened to your liver. And fructose, that sweet molecule in sugar, basically has the same fate as alcohol. So when people say, oh, well, little sugar's fine, the answer is, yeah, because your intestine diverts that little bit away from the liver. As soon as you overwhelm that capacity, now your liver is right in the crosshairs. And that's when chronic disease is going to start.
Yeah. Rob, you're a pediatrician. I've seen videos of you talking with passion about this exact topic maybe 15 years ago, still online.
Something like that.
When was the first time for you that you started to think, what's going on here? In the book, you have been pretty it's pretty provocative at times. I actually agree with it, so I like it. You've really gone out there. You've ripped into modern medicine at times, and we're definitely going to talk about that.
Yep.
But when was it? Because you do have this sort of incredible passion and energy to get this message out there, and I'm just wondering, what was it in your clinical experience that actually really got you into thinking there must be another way here? This can't be right.
Right. Well, so I had 3 aha moments. 3. And that sort of got me to where I am today and why I'm saying what I am saying today. The first aha moment came when I worked at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, pediatric cancer hospital. And I went there in 1995.
I pulled some G's on that one.
Was presented with a cadre of
you can pull so many G's that you rip off the wings.
Oh, wow.
I should try that.
I should try that.
Speed on.
Let's rip the wings off this bad boy.
If they're brain tumors, because of surgery and radiation, sometimes chemotherapy, who had become massively obese. They were perfectly normal weight before the tumor. And now they were on the order of 350 to 400
Right
pounds.
now I'm passed out. Well,
okay. Normal kids.
That's hilarious, bro. It's just black screen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Hey, hello. You still got your wings?
Yeah.
Yep.
I should have pulled them off there, but
oh, my God. Damn. damn total blackout.
Oh, I don't know why I don't do it here. Usually when
Oh, you ripped the wings
crashed
off.
out.
Now you ripped the wings off.
I did. Usually when you pull over 12 Gs, I believe, when you rip the wings off. And you can't do. Normally, there's a feature on the plane where you don't. If you just pull back in the joystick, normally don't do it. The joystick has something called a paddle switch. The real plane have that also. When you hit that, you override the fly-by-wire system, the safety of the fly-by-wire system, so you can push the plane up to 12 Gs. But the plane is not built for that, so in some cases it will literally rip the wings off a plane.
For the tumor, and now massively obese. And there's a name for this. It's called hypothalamic obesity. It was first written about, or first described in 1901 by Freilich and Babinski, two of the greats of international neurology. And I had all these kids with hypothalamic obesity that I had to take care of. And how do you get them to lose weight? How do you get them to get better? And it had been shown previously that diet and exercise is useless. In fact, George Bray, the father of obesity research in America, in 1975, had taken 8 of these kids on his ward and fed them 500 calories a day for a month. What do you think their weight did?
Well, you would expect it came down, but I suspect in this case it probably didn't.
It went up.
Yeah.
Okay, 500 calories a day, and their weight went up. How does that happen? The answer is it happens because they were burning it slower than they were taking it in. Because their metabolism of calories had actually come to a virtual standstill. So even 500 calories a day was too much. When these kids have no energy, they sit on a couch, they're not interested in anything. The parents would actually complain that that was the worst thing about this. They'd say, this is double jeopardy. My kid has, survived the tumor only to succumb to the therapy because my kid is a lump on a log and he's lost interest in everything. He's lost interest in school. He's lost interest in life. He's lost interest in activity. He's lost interest in friends. He's lost interest in everything. All he wants to do is sit and sleep.
And it might just be sugar that's doing it. All these kids that are sitting and they're so miserable. And they talk about how miserable they are, and they call themselves incels and all that shit. I wonder how much sugar they're consuming, and I wonder how much of a part. It seems like that's all of it. If they would cut out the sugar, man, it seems like, according to what this guy's saying, man, they would get their lust for life back,
So I went to the literature and I said, the other thing was that this was exactly when the hormone leptin had been discovered. Leptin was discovered in 1994. And I was prepared for that discovery because I worked at Rockefeller University with the guys who discovered it. Jeff Friedman and Rudy Leibel. Okay, we were all the MDs at Rockefeller University all, had to take call in the hospital together. So we were always trading, call dates and everything. So everybody knew what everybody else was doing. So I knew that they were trying to clone this, this hormone, out of these mice. And so when they did in 1994, I was very prepared for it. So I moved to St. Jude and I had these kids. And it's what am I going to do for them? And I postulated right then that these kids must have leptin resistance. These kids can't see their leptin. And the reason is because their hypothalamus is dead, because we killed it because of the tumor or the surgery or the radiation. And so because they can't see their leptin, their brain thinks they're starving. So the question was, okay, their brain thinks they're starving.
So
is there what's downstream of leptin? What's actually making them gain the weight? The starvation's why they're hungry, but what's making them gain the weight? Well, we knew that these kids made a lot of insulin. And we knew that there's this animal model of damaging the hypothalamus, and they put out enormous amounts of insulin. And you could actually stop that by cutting the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the nerve that leads from the brain to the pancreas, and then the insulin would go down. So I said, well, I can't cut their vagus nerve. I'm not a surgeon, and that's a little drastic. But what if I gave them a medicine that suppressed their insulin release? And so we gave them a drug called octreotide, a drug that is used by endocrinologists to usually suppress growth hormone release, but it also suppresses insulin release. So we repurposed it, and we gave it to these kids, and lo and behold, they started losing weight. And they couldn't lose weight before. George Bray showed they gained weight, but they were losing weight. And something even more remarkable happened. They started exercising spontaneously.
Huh.
One kid started competitive swimming. 2 kids started lifting weights at home. 1 kid became the manager of his high school basketball team, running around collecting all the basketballs. I mean, these were kids who sat on the couch, ate Doritos, and slept. And now they're active again. And the parents would say, oh my God, I've got my kid back. And the kid would say, this is the first time my head hasn't been in the clouds since the tumor.
Yeah.
So something had changed their relationship to the world. Not just their relationship to food, but their relationship to the world. So we said, this is very interesting. So we did a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, and this time built a quality of life measure into the protocol. And sure enough, the lower we got the insulin with the drug, not only the more weight they lost, but the more active they were. So what this did, the reason why this is so important, and the reason I'm spending so much time on it, Ranga, is because this turns the first law of thermodynamics on its head. Because the standard interpretation of the first law goes like this. The first law is, the total energy inside a closed system remains constant. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, just shifted around. Okay. The standard interpretation that we learn in medical school, and what the general public learns, is if you eat it, you better burn it, or you're going to store it.
Right.
In which case, the storing part,
that's why I think it
the
was
fat
bread.
gain,
Right.
is secondary to the primary problems, which are the eating and the burning, the gluttony and the sloth. Therefore, the weight gain is secondary to the gluttony and the sloth. Therefore, it's about behavior. Fix the behavior, fix the weight. What we showed in these kids was it's exactly the opposite. Turn it around.
Fix the weight, fix the behavior.
What we showed was if you're going to store it, that is a high insulin level leading to obligate weight gain, and you expect to burn it, that is normal energy expenditure for normal quality of life, because energy expenditure and quality of life are synonyms for each other, then you're going to have to eat it. And now the storage is primary and the behaviors are secondary. The gluttony and sloth are actually because of leptin resistance.
So we get sick first, and then the weight comes afterwards.
That's right. We get sick first, and the weight is secondary. That's exactly right. So this is, monumental. This is huge. But of course, it goes against everything that we are taught, and it goes against everything that, doctors routinely believe. But this was my first aha moment. My second aha moment came in 2006. So I realized that insulin was the bad guy, and we started then changing what we did in clinic. Instead of worrying about weight, we worried about insulin. We said, get the insulin down any way you can. And that's what my clinic became. It became an insulin reduction clinic.
Was this based on every patient, I wonder, or was this people who had something going on diabetically or something.
It wasn't a weight loss clinic. It was an insulin reduction clinic. And when we got the insulin down, then they lost weight. So in 2006, I was asked to give a talk at the NIH, okay, specifically the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina. They were having their 100th anniversary of public health. And it was a 2-day symposium. The first day was on their successes, like lead poisoning and pollution.
How can I naturally lower my insulin levels? Oh, shit. "14 ways to lower your insulin levels." Number 1, follow a lower carb eating plan. Which I've already started doing. I'm eating less bread. Trying to eat less sugar. 2, consider supplementing with apple cider vinegar. Who the fuck? Somebody came in here and said that.
Johnny's military service. Carnivore diet.
Number 3, keep an eye on portion sizes. I do. I eat less food than I've ever eaten in my life. 4, lower your intake of all forms of sugar. Okay. 5, prioritize physical activity. I do. I work out every morning. And I do labor out in the yard all day. 6, try adding cinnamon to foods and beverages. Cinnamon, guys. Help lower your insulin levels. When eating carbs, choose complex carbs. Cereal with added sugar, highly processed foods, white rice, refined carbs. These carbs important. Just very quickly. Refined carbs can lead to several health problems. Yeah, but you're not giving me examples of what they are. Increase your overall activity level. I do that. Consider intermittent fasting. I do a little bit of that every once in a while. Intermittent fasting, an eating plan where you have set hours for eating and set hours for fasting during a 24-hour period, has been popping up in headlines. May help reduce insulin levels as effectively as or more effectively than daily calorie restriction. So doing a little fasting and increase soluble fiber intake. Whole foods. So consume more whole foods. Concentrate on weight loss if advised. I'm trying to lose weight, but I'm kind of stuck at 185. Incorporate green tea into your diet. So add cinnamon, add green tea. Contains high amounts of an antioxidant known as EGCG, which may help fight insulin resistance. Eat more fatty fish. Like salmon, sardines, no thank you. Mackerel, no thank you. Herring, no thank you. And anchovies, no thank you. I don't want any of it. I don't want any of the fish. 14, get the right amount and type of protein. People living with obesity had lower insulin levels after consuming a high protein breakfast compared with a low protein.
Hoot and howl. I choose death.
I choose bacon or I choose death, bro.
Tula tetro. I drink powdered cinnamon gin in a tea or decaf before bed. It's supposed to also burn fat while sleeping.
Yeah, add that to a green tea. So that was interesting. Okay, so now we all know how to lower insulin levels. We all know to avoid sugar. We all know to avoid carbs. And let's hear what else this guy has to say. I've got to go feed my cat, and maybe... I don't know if I'm going to drink another cup of coffee or not. I'm kind of hungry, actually. It's weird. I kind of feel like eating something. so I don't know what I'm going to do right now. But here, let
and
me
an
listen more of
asthma,
this guy.
things they'd figured out, and
I'm going to
been
feed the
able
cat.
to do
I'll be right
something
back.
for the public health. And the second day was on challenges, and the morning was going to be obesity, metabolic syndrome, and the afternoon was going to be ADD and autism. Okay, so they asked me to give a talk. What do you think is the single most important environmental exposure that leads to obesity and metabolic syndrome? And I figured that they probably figured I was going to, give a talk about some, like BPA or some other, environmental, toxicant, that's in the water or in the air or, something like that. And I thought to myself, how am I going to, make this worthwhile? And I thought to myself, all right, wait a second. Let's go backwards here. Children today get 2 diseases they never got before: type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease. Those 2. Children never got those before. Now, lots of kids get them. All right? So, I looked up type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease, and of course, I know a lot about both of them, but I very specifically looked for origins and causation. It turns out that in the old days, back in the 1970s, before this pandemic of chronic disease started, both those diseases were the diseases of alcohol. Type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease were the diseases of alcohol. But kids don't drink alcohol. So I said, all right, is there something they're exposed to that's like alcohol? So I opened up my Leninger, biochemistry textbook from 1974, sitting at this table that I'm at right now. And I said, what the hell is like alcohol? And there it was. It stared me right in the friggin' face, right off the page from 1974. And the answer is fructose. Fructose and alcohol are metabolized virtually identically. And it makes sense that would be the case, because after all, where do you get alcohol from? Fermentation of fructose. It's called wine. Yeah. We do it in Napa and Sonoma every day. Okay, the big difference between fructose and alcohol is that for alcohol, the yeast does the first step of metabolism called glycolysis. For fructose, we do our own first step of metabolism. But after that, what the mitochondria see are exactly the same. It's acetyl-CoA. It's just a question of which was the substrate. Was it the ethanol or was it the fructose? But ultimately, they end up with the same fate. So it's very clear, all of a sudden, right, looking at that right there, that this is the substrate that is driving both the type 2 diabetes and the fatty liver disease. So I put together a talk, and I went to North Carolina, and I said, this is what I think's going on, and here's why.
There's an owl in the backyard hunting, pulling moles out of the ground. It just got one. It's up in the tree right there now.
Half-hour talk. And then there was the bathroom break. And, I got my applause, and then everyone left the room. And they didn't come back. I'm standing there at the podium talking with, this person, that person. And no one's coming back for the next session.
Chris Rakepick.
And then I had to use the bathroom.
Long live Florida.
I went out.
Hi, Chris. How's it going? You came over here to walk my dog for me. Now you gotta come inside, play some of that Xbox GTA 5. I got that new GTA 5.
And I actually got tackled in the friggin' bathroom of the NIH by a bunch of crazed toxicologists screaming at me saying, oh my God, you're right. This makes perfect sense. This is the toxin. You have to tell everyone about this. I guess I'm still doing it.
Nobody's listening.
I guess you still
Chris
are.
Rakepick.
So
Anyone have any candy?
toxicologists went berserk. might be true. And then that was the second aha. And then the third aha.
We'll be back to the conversation in just a moment. Now, many of us struggle to find time to eat all of these incredible whole foods. That's why I'm a big fan of good quality whole food supplements like this one that's been in my own life for over 3 years now.
Chris Rakepick,
It contains over
Jenny
70
Craig,
Can you believe this guy's here pushing fucking bullshit on people? It's so funny.
25 whole food source ingredients, vitamins, minerals,
It's got
and
vitamins.
probiotics.
It's got
and
the
can help us support
vitamins.
our energy, focus, digestion,
Tula Tetra.
immune system. And
Your
Flex
dog
Foods
shook
is
his
giving
ear.
my audience a fantastic offer. 1 year's free supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first order. You can see all the details at athleticgreens.com/live more or simply click on the link below. Now, back to the
That was
conversation.
a paid
It
advertisement.
was not even my aha. It was my colleague's aha, but I adopted it. So we got very interested in sugar here at UCSF after that. We actually have a group of us we call the Sugar Hill Gang. They're actually referenced in the book here. But my colleagues, Kristen Carnes,
Chris Rakepick.
Stan Glantz,
My dog would hustle Nate from all his food.
paper trail of the food industry back in the 1960s and found the actual paper trail that showed that the food industry paid off scientists to exonerate sugar and figure saturated fat as the bad guy.
Can you believe that?
We actually found
Chris
the
Rakepick.
documents that
My
showed
dog is watching this Tula.
transfer and the communications, just like what the January 6th committee is doing now. Follow the money. And we actually
Chris, we're trying to watch this, dude. If you're going to sit here and hit on Tula the whole time, man, it's going to be really aggravating. So I'm just going to mute the chat so we don't have to listen to your horny ass.
proved that the sugar industry put their thumb on the scale.
Chris
back in
Rakepick.
the 1960s.
Is that
exonerate the
sushi?
product. Because
We
there
love
had been
sushi.
data that had been coming out at that point showing that sugar was not good for you. In fact, that's what John Yudkin found. Remember, Pure White and Deadly. And he had found, and so people were starting to cast a fisheye at sugar, and so they had to go into overdrive mode to PR this problem away. And so they approached the chairman of the Department of Nutrition at the Harvard School of Public Health, Fred Stair, and his associate, Mark Hegstead, who ended up becoming the head of the U.S. Department of Agriculture
Have at it, Chris.
in 1970. To pay them off $6,500
You horny old
back
man.
then, which would be about $50,000 today, to write 2 review articles to appear in the New England Journal of Medicine that basically said saturated fat's the bad guy and sugar is no problem whatsoever. So that's the third aha moment. It's all a scam.
It's all a scam.
The whole thing's a put-up job.
Exactly. It's a sugar fucking
That's
lie.
why I wrote Metabolic.
Big sugar.
Sugar and alcohol. I don't think people commonly
Associate them.
would put the two things together.
It's
People, I
interesting.
think, like, Joe Public, I think would think, okay, alcohol, I know if I drink too much, it's not good for me, it's going to cause problems with my liver. I think there's that understanding, and if I drink a little bit, have some days off a week, the odd glass of wine here and there is probably not going to be too bad for me, I think is what most people tend to think.
That's true. And if that were the case, that would be true. And that's true for about the 40% of Americans who are social drinkers. 40% of teetotalers don't touch the stuff. Okay. 40% of social drinkers can pick up a beer, put it down like me. Okay. But 10% are binge drinkers and 10% are hardcore alcoholics.
So when he says, okay, he reminds me of that South Park guy.
But I don't think people think...
Okay, boys. Oh, no. That's from Beavis and Butthead. It's their teacher. Okay, boys. Okay.
Think of sugar in
Butthead. Okay. Butthead, you're going to have to settle down, okay?
Same way in terms of what it does for the liver.
Okay.
And I think that's a really, I think, eye-opening comparison for a lot of people. The other thing you said, which I think really beautifully ties into the start of this conversation, is that you started
They were just
running
talking
an
about,
insulin...
that was one of the things they mentioned, Chris, is apple cider vinegar is good for lowering insulin levels.
in reduction clinic.
Right.
And like you, I'm very passionate in root causes, and this
Right.
idea that we've labeled all these so-called separate diseases. We get taught about them at medical school as though they're all separate entities. For this disease, you take this drug and you have this sort of treatment, and we look at that downstream pathology, don't we? But you mentioned mitochondria at the start in terms of what sugar or excess sugar can do to mitochondria, and that mitochondrial dysfunction sits at the heart of so many different conditions. But also insulin resistance, right? So that insulin resistance, that insulin lowering clinic actually would probably, depending on who was coming in, and I appreciate you're a pediatrician, but if all of us as doctors ran insulin reduction clinics,
we would get rid of 75% of the chronic disease in America and in the world.
Exactly. It's that root cause again, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, which is what I'm trying to, bring to, medicine. Unfortunately, medicine is provincial. Medicine doesn't, respond very well to, new ideas.
Yeah.
It's it's a cartel, if you will.
You're very critical of modern medicine in the book. You say modern medicine treats symptoms. You say modern medicine is not the solution. I do indeed, and I agree with this. It's something it's one of my big frustrations in my 21 year career seeing patients. It's like, I sometimes wonder if doctors honestly ask themselves sometimes at the end of their day, and obviously it depends where you work. I'm not talking about intensive care. I'm talking about chronic patients that. And I did this once, Rob. I did this in general practice once. I asked myself at the end of the day, how many patients do you honestly think you've really helped today? And, quite a few years ago, it was 20%. I thought, I've only helped 20% of people. The other 80%, I've done something. I've sent them off for a test. I've, referred them, or I've given them a drug. But I kind of knew they'd be back. I thought, I'm not really getting to the heart of this problem. I knew it, and I kind of feel the patient knew it as well. And that's kind of one of the things that led me on this journey to try and understand that there must be a different way. And, that's why I think Metabolical is such a wonderful book. It outlines the history, it outlines the science, but it also gives some really practical solutions. And, I love we mentioned the liver a lot so far. So one of your big messages in the book is protect the liver and feed the gut,
right,
in terms of dietary advice for people. And a lot's been written about food in the past, but that's very fresh. I think that's quite a new idea for people. And I wonder if you could explain then, what do you mean protect the liver and feed the gut?
Sure. Well, before we go into protect the liver, feed the gut, because that'll take up the whole rest of our podcast, is explaining all that, I want to just address the whole medical school thing. And how you felt as a doctor. Me too. The bottom line is, we treat medicine, and unfortunately medical schools treat medicine like a big game of Clue. Colonel Mustard in the conservatory with the candlestick. Match the symptom card with the diagnosis card with the treatment card and discharge your patient. In fact, in 1980, there was a game that we used to play in residency, on like Sunday mornings before things got busy in the ER, called Intern. And that was what you did. You basically took your symptom, you got a symptom card, you got a diagnosis card, and you got a treatment card. And once you got the three of them together, you got rid of the patient. First, player to discharge all their patients won the game, and that's how we treated it. So, these diseases, got a meningitis, here's an antibiotic. Got a cancer, here's a chemotherapy. But the fact is, chronic disease doesn't really fit into that. Yeah. There are 8, count them, 8 chronic diseases that have completely taken over modern medicine. 8, and here they are:
heart disease,
type 2 diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, fatty liver disease, polycystic ovarian disease. Those 8. Those 8 now account together for 75% of all healthcare costs. and none of them have a cure.
How convenient.
None of them even have a treatment.
What?
But they all have a prevention.
Huh.
We're not preventing it. We're handing out,
The poison.
statins or, oral hypoglycemics or, antihypertensives, like candy. But that's treating the symptoms, the manifestations of the disease, not actually treating the cause. And the reason is because those diseases are not really the diseases. What's going on underneath to cause all 8 of those diseases are exactly the same. They're just in different organs. And here are the 8 things that I outline in the book, what I call the diseases that are not diseases. I call them the hateful 8.
Huh.
And here they are.
The hateful 8.
And these are things that people don't know because they don't have ICD-11 codes. And doctors don't know what to do about them, so they don't even mention them. So no one's ever heard of them. And they didn't learn them in medical school either.
Right.
So here they are, 8. Number 1, glycation. Number 2, oxidative stress. Number 3, mitochondrial dysfunction. Number 4, insulin resistance. Number 5, membrane instability. Number 6, inflammation. Number 7, methylation. Number 8, autophagy. Now, these are all normal phenomena that happen, but they can be speeded up or slowed down by what you eat. And it turns out when you have control over all 8 of those things, you will be 110 playing tennis. When you don't have control
I don't see that
over those
happening.
8 things, you will be 40 years old in a wheelchair with 2 stumps on dialysis waiting for your next stroke.
God.
And of course, everything in between. So those are the choices.
I've lost a lot
Those
of
are
friends.
the options. And because none of those 8
Lost them to obesity, to diabetes, to not taking care of themselves.
the hateful 8 that I just mentioned,
Drug
none
overdoses.
of them have a cure. None of them even have a treatment. They only have a prevention. We're not preventing anything. And that's why you felt like you were not helping any of your patients, because you weren't addressing
Hey,
those
you're in the age
8
64.
root causes.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's glitchy. It's weird. Why is it all glitching around like that?
Well, it's not. I see that. It's not doing that on my screen, though. I see that on your screen.
Oh,
That's weird.
so weird.
I don't know if
Huh.
that is weird.
Report problem. I've got no controls.
I think I don't know why.
It says 1080p, 60 frames per second. Nitro streaming quality. I don't know.
Me neither, well.
I'm running at 1920 by 1080 up here. My output at 60 frames per second, so it matches. It's almost like the hertz is different. Let me go take care of this doggy dog. See if he wants to go outside. You want to go outside, dog? Might be bears out there.
Are you guys fighting? You can't fight. Get out of here. Hey, don't. Right, running, I just fed you.
Sorry I was gone for so long. I took the dog all the way around the house. Alright, so, in 80 minutes, Destiny's going live with a debate. But I don't think it's really going to be any kind of a debate that interests me, because I'm looking at the people that he's debating, and they just strike me as a group of people that I'm really not interested in listening to. So I don't see what the content's going to be, what the subject matter is going to consist of. But that's not for a long time, actually. You know, that's late. That's not for until 10 o'clock tonight. It's scheduled for 10 o'clock, yeah. I don't even know if I'll still be awake at 10. Yeah, too late. It's probably too late. I don't know if it would last that long, especially if we get into some dabs. Whoa. The fuck, dude? Yeah, it's a good game.
Are we on a smoke?
Yeah.
I'll have to jump off. I think it's time to get a headache, man.
Oh, fuck that. Hate that
Get
shit.
paid well.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I am almost there. And I'm back.
All right. Cheers, No Law Regarding Cannabis. Cheers, Cyber. Cheers, Tula, Chris, and Arafat. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man. Cheers, everybody. Well, I will see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Feel better.
Thank you, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Good night, everybody, and good night, bro.
So I decided against the coffee. Otherwise, I would be watching that debate with you guys tonight. The debate starts in an hour and 10 minutes. And I don't know if I could figure out what they're going to be debating. Let me see. If you super chat $100, YouTube takes $30. If you donate $100, Streamlabs only takes $3. Dating talk. What channel is this? Whatever is the channel.
And we are live. Welcome to the Whatever Dating Talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Dating talk? Oh, yeah. Totally not going to be watching that. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Gotcha. Yeah. talk to a bunch of fucking kids that know absolutely nothing about dating. No thanks. I'm sure they're going to have a great talk. What else is going on, man? I wonder. I definitely don't want coffee, man. Too late. Not going to do that to myself. Nothing else really going on. Anyhow. Oh, cool. I was waiting for that. All right, Mom, feel better. I love you. Any of you going to talk to me at all? Yeah, I kind of got something going on here, and I could just dump this podcast if nobody's going to talk in the chat. You guys have nothing to say? Nobody has anything to say. Tula says yes. You can dump me like a high school girlfriend, says Hoot and Hell. Dogs and fucking cats, dude. All right. Wish you guys could talk. I'm going to end my show. I'm going to take care of some bullshit. All right. You guys take care. All right, Tula. Take care, honey. You guys take care. I wish you guys were more exciting. I really do. I'd stay and hang out. But you guys won't talk to me, so bye.